Colombia begins suspending student protesters. University officials gave the pro-Palestinian demonstrators a 2 p.m. deadline and threatened to suspend them if they did not leave. But I'd like you to take a look at this image. And what do you see? The People's Library. Oh, wow. Welcome to the People's University of Palestine. All right, look. It's very obvious to anybody who knows anything about these protests, they don't care about Israel. They care about flavor of the month, cause of the month. And as I've often described,
I want to stop there. How do we know that? Tim's saying that they don't care about Israel. And he might be right. I'm just thinking through this because I don't agree, but I just want to know, how do we measure that? My feeling is that they do care about Israel. It's the conflict that's going on over there. But Tim's saying it's just BLM. See, that's where I can't go. This is not the same as BLM. Maybe it is the hot thing. I think it is the hot thing, but it's not the same as BLM.
When it comes to wokeness, there is no underlying moral ideology other than what we are is moral, period.
I agree with that because I had some beef with those on the left because we have to draw lines here with these protests. What's acceptable, what's not. And I play a lot of clips from the Revolutionary Blackout Network. I think they're great. Nick is, one of the guys I watched the most on there, and we had strong disagreement on this. There was a video of protesters pushing against, it looked like police, men and women with guns, pushing against them so they could get into a building. I believe this one was on private property, but it doesn't even really matter. So you're protesting. Now you're being aggressive, pushing against the police to get into a building. That's violence. That's no longer peaceful. And the Twitter account, the LP of New Hampshire, they tweeted out something to the effect of, you could get got. Like, this is a private property. Let's just hypothetically say it's my private property. It's my university. And I'm trying to protect my building. I call the police and say, I don't want anything to escalate. I mean, they're going to have to do what they have to do, but they can't get into the building and graffiti it up. We've seen pictures of that happening in other places. It's everywhere, Oregon and all over the place. And that's violence. Doing graffiti on the property, that's not peaceful. You are damaging somebody's property. If somebody runs up, if you own a house and somebody runs up to your house and they have the greatest cause in the world, I don't care what their cause is. It's my house, and they come to my house and they start graffitiing the outside, that's violence. That's, again, to take it from Jeremy, might be wrong. In my head, from when he just said it, you know how sometimes things just stay in your head. He said, when you attack somebody's property, you're attacking their hard work. You had to work for this keyboard. I don't care how little it is. You come here and you break my keyboard, you're taking a little bit of my life that I worked to save to buy this keyboard. And we got problems. That's not peaceful. And so I kind of said, like, we got to draw some lines here. So that ties into what Tim's saying. Tim's saying the only moral they have is them being just. And really, it's the mob. If you have enough of them to be able to do that, it's a just cause no matter what. So I said, guys, I told the guys on the left, I said, guys, I'm not against you on these protests. I don't like the colonization stuff. I'm more in the, if you have the might and the strength, you get it done. But as far as just not unliving innocent people and not supporting, there's no reason Israel is a friend of mine for us to be sending money to, moral support, any of that. So I agree with you from that standpoint. And I've even adjusted where the Palestinian flags don't even bother me anymore. You know why? Because I'm aiming at the top. I'm aiming at the ones that were in D.C. waving the Ukrainian flags. I want to start with them, get them, fire them up, and get them up out of there. That's where I'm focused on before even worrying about this or Unlive to America. But you have to be able to draw a line. And I said, guys, this is dangerous. You're pushing against people men and women who are armed. I can't let you push me when I'm armed. You might take my weapon. This is crossing the line. And I said, I'm still with you guys. You just have to understand this is dangerous. This is not a Black Lives Matter where the danger was the crowd. It wasn't really the police. It was the crowd, bad actors in the crowd. You have some of that here, but here the danger is they got snipers on the roof because you're going up against Israel. Israel trains the FBI. They train the Atlanta police. Who knows who else they train? That is a serious threat, and they will not play. So I said, just be careful. You're on private property, even if you're on public property, but especially you're on private property, you do not have a right to anything. You got the tents up, I'm with you. You're fine. You got your own little chaz going, and you're doing negotiations. I'm all there with you. Just keep it off of my property. Understand you are in danger because you're on somebody else's property, and don't go pushing guys with weapons. That's all I was saying. But they don't care because the only morality is whatever they think is the just cause at the moment. So I agree with Tim 100% there.
Period. If the hive decides Palestine is the issue, then the hive flocks to Palestine. All of a sudden, nobody cares about China. Nobody cares about, the Uyghur Muslims. Nobody cares about Sudan. Nobody cares about Yemen, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Afghanistan. It all just becomes...
I don't agree with Tim on that one. I don't know why. Tim, we're talking about Israel right now. You're talking about Israel right now. If you want to talk about Sudan, then talk about Sudan. Nobody's stopping you. This is the topic right now for whatever reason. It's no different than any other topic that bubbles up to the top where you want to make it one of your news stories. There's plenty of news stories out there. Laken Riley. Why did Laken Riley rise to the top? And there's many other innocent Americans with stories just as wholesome as hers who have been unlived. Maybe not as hers was brutal, but you see my point. Why did her story bubble up? It doesn't... You're not addressing the issue. I don't like that take from Tim. He's been rattling it off. Don't care. If you want to talk about Sudan, then we can talk about Sudan, but that's not what we're talking about right now. And for whatever reason, it is a way to avoid the Israel topic. It is a way for Tim Pool to say, I don't have to talk about Israel because you're not talking about these other things. Israel's a bigger problem to me than China. I don't even want to compare those. Israel is a way. See, that's where we're different right now. And that's why I say he's really bad on there. Israel is a much bigger problem than China. We just saw the FEC's reports came out about Mike Johnson. He's the Speaker of the House, so he has the fund for donations to spread out to all the Republicans. We just saw he's got an influx of money in November, $100,000 from a pro-Israel lobby group. And then on top of that, 500,000 from others. For it's a quid pro quo. And China does the same thing in a way. Qatar does the same thing in a way. But no other area in the world has as much control as that country does over our politicians. You can't compare that to the Sudan. You can't even compare that to China.
Middle MAGA.